I didn't have my long arm yet, but I was free motion quilting on my domestic machine. And I, in cursive, put all the way around it, all of the kids and wives and grandkids. She had 20 grandkids, plus some step grandkids, and their names are all around that quilt. The very first quilt I did was when I was expecting a baby. So I wanted to make a baby quilt. Now I've known about quilting and wanted to be a quilter for a long time before that, but you know, when you're going to college, and that's a lot of work and you don't get as much time for crafts and stuff. So it was after college.
How did that turn out?
Oh, I still have it somewhere.
Oh, that's fun.
It was for my son and I still have it. It was, I didn't have any quilt police, you know, telling me what to do. My mom was a quilt instructor and she had taught some, so I knew some basic skills, but I was just doing it on my own, staying home, and like all my seam allowances were 5/8 inch, like you were sewing fabric clothing instead of quilting with a 1/4 inch. So it worked out though.
Rebel.
I belonged to a quilt guild in St. Joe and for a very long time, and I learned a lot of things there, and they have a lot of workshops and we do a lot of like shop hops, and so I learned a lot. I took a really interesting class from a lady named Pepper Quarry that was quite a while. I can't think. It was down at Prairie Star Quilting, I think, in Kansas City. But she was all about the quilting, the process of binding all the layers rather than the piecing, which has been something I'd been focused on. And that's when I really got turned on to the quilting part. And it turned into a lot of hand quilting and then machine quilting and then buying a long arm. And then once you got that, you're pretty much set in to make the payments on one. Completely finished or in the works?
Good question.
Because I got boxes of stuff in the works, but I tend to lose momentum or get intrigued by the next project. On my machine, I've got over 500 quilts that I've done, and a lot of those were for me personally, but I've done them for other people too. So some of them are used on the beds, and a lot of them were gifts to people, and some of them are in boxes. This is a quilt that was passed down through the Brown side of the family, and we had it appraised by a lady over in Manhattan, and she said it was Civil War era. We have lost the family tradition of which grandmother or great-grandmother or great-great-grandmother made it, but it has been kept in the family. And it lives at my house, in my bedroom, in my cedar blanket box, wrapped in a sheet, so it'll be safe for generations to come, we hope.
Beautiful.
It's got some wear on it, but that's bound to happen with.
Well, Civil War era.
Yeah, it's been around.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can really see they use scraps. They use leftover clothing to make it, I'm sure. Oh yeah, that's my favorite kind.
Is that your favorite?
It's actually the hardest, I think, because you have to make a decision which scraps look good with which other scraps, right?
Why is that your favorite?
The scrap quilts?
Yeah, the scrap quilt.
I don't know. All the different colors and I guess memories of where you got that fabric or how you picked it. I have quite a fabric collection. Well, my daughters and my mom and I and my aunt, we all like to go to Quilt Guild together and we do projects together. We try to do a retreat once a year where we get together and go to a hotel where you don't have to clean or cook or mess with the dogs and just spend a long weekend quilting. That's a lot of fun. My kids, I've got 3 kids. My oldest son, David, used to work for Mr. Star, actually.
Really?
Yeah, he used to write for Block Magazine. And my daughter Jenny is an avid quilter, and she's a graphic designer, and she loves color, and she's very good with design, and I often ask her questions about what colors go together, and she has a good eye. Binding.
Binding.
I mean, I know how to do it, it just doesn't always get done. And I've done it on the machine, and I never really am happy when you don't finish it by hand. I'm trying to get better at the machine part of binding, because if you have so many quilts, there's just so much time in your life to sit down and bind. And I think as you get older, I used to do a lot of sewing when I was watching TV in the evening, you know, but now focusing from one place and then focusing on the little stitches, and then it's hard to do. So.
Wow, so binding.
Binding is my Achilles heel. My favorite part is the quilting part, the anchoring all the layers together, whether it's long arm or domestic free motion or hand quilting. That's my favorite part. It's being able to put all different designs on top of the other designs that are going on and make it look like it all belongs together. I have a little doll quilt. In fact, I kind of wish I brought it today. A doll quilt that my mom and my grandma helped me make. And it sits on, I have Raggedy Ann that was my Raggedy Ann forever on my bookshelf. And that little quilt sitting on her lap.
Aww.
I've had it for a long time. And I think growing up in the 60s and 70s, all the, you know, Laura Ingalls Wilder and Holly Hobbie, I was inspired by all that. And my great-grandma took care of me a lot when I was real little, because Mom was still in school. And she would tell me all kinds of stories about the pioneer days, you know, because she was born in 1800s. And she would tell me stories about that. And there was a big back to early times or back to hand art, hand craftsmanship things in the 70s. And I think I got involved because of that. And I love colors and fabric and all you can do with it. I have something on every floor, a room on every floor, you might say.
Tell me about those rooms. What do they use? Are they?
Well, when you have a long arm, you know how much space that takes up.
Yes.
So we have a log cabin, and up in the top, another inspiration from that pioneer days. Up on the top, there's a loft, and the machine takes up most of the loft. But there's not enough room up there. There's also a master bedroom up there, but there's not a lot of room for all the space you need to piece quilting and store quilting. And so on the main floor, there's another bedroom that I've lined with the IKEA shelves that are full of fabric, and I have some tables in there, and then sometimes I put my tables in the living room because, you know, you want to just be with your family when you're sewing too. And then we have a basement that works for a lot of storage for all my things I'm not working on.
So
it's kind of every part of our house.
I was going to say, you have a quilting home.
Yeah.
So where do you live?
And the rest of it, amongst it. I made one before I got my long arm, I made one for my mother-in-law on for her 90th birthday. She's passed away since, but I didn't have my long arm yet, but I was free motion quilting on my domestic machine. And I, in cursive, put all the way around it, all of the kids and wives and grandkids. She had 20 grandkids, plus some step grandkids, and their names are all around that quilt. When I free motioned their names into the quilt. And it came back to me after she passed, and it hangs on my wall now, but it's a nice memory and it has the whole family is all around that quilt, and thinking of her, she was such a nice lady. It's nice to think of her when I see it. I don't know, I think I like all of it, yeah. Like I've been doing a lot of using Wonder Under to layer different colors and make pictures, and I'm doing some big sunflowers for Mom right now. I'm excited for when that will come together. Yeah, she saw a painting that she wanted and she couldn't find it, so we're making it out of fabric. I work better with a fire under me, actually. You know, some friends having a baby or something, and you think, oh, I could just whip something out in the weekend. And then Quilt Guild, the Pony Express Museum in St. Joe asked our Quilt Guild, real quick, can we just have some little baby quilts to hang up in the children's section of the museum? And I hadn't got it done, and it was due, you know, like the next day. So I spent one whole day and just got it done, and machine bound it so I could finish it. A little Sunbonnet Sue quilt, but I did it one day.
So you can bust them out.
Yeah, I even quilted it on my machine, my long arm machine, all in one day. But it wasn't big, you know, but it's done. Finish your project before you start another one. That would be I wish I could follow that motto. Pretty soon they overtake, the unfinished objects overtake you.
Pretty soon you've got a long arm and you've got a lot of...
But that all looks so fun. I want to try that method, or I want to do that, or I want to get all the equipment to fabric paint or fabric dye, or, you know, I've got all that equipment too, but. A family tradition and being together as a family, and the beautiful colors and creative things you can make. Hi, I'm Dedra Litherland, and this is Why I Quilt.